Well, I hope that everybody had a good lunch and enjoyed participating in the Alternative Medicine Fair, and that you got good information about what some of the options are for other kinds of treatments after brain injury. We're now going to be moving into our afternoon workshops, which actually both groups are doing basically the same workshop because we wanted each group to have kind of a common experience. And we're now moving from focusing on surviving after brain injury or stroke to thriving. And part of being able to thrive after having had a brain injury is by being resilient. So that's the topic of our workshop. And this came from, I actually found an article on resilience, which summarized a lot of the research about this particular topic. I looked at that and said, that's a workshop. So basically, we got 5 points about resilience that we're going to be covering. And we have some interactive exercises to go along with that. So we would really like this to be as interactive a workshop as possible. I know we're kind of a large group and it might be a little bit difficult, but we're going to do our best because we really want to get some interaction going between the panelists and the audience. I want to first start by us introduce everybody. I'm Carol Starr, and my brain injury was from a car accident in 1999.
I'm Hillary Syed, 2006, brain injury from a horse. Hi, I'm Bethany Bryan, and May of 2011, I was in a car accident, hit from the side, forehead ripped open, and thankfully, had it not happened, I wouldn't have known that I had a pretty big brain tumor. And had I not found that out, I was going to be climbing Mount Kilimanjaro for charity. And the doctor who stitched me back up said if I didn't find out that I had had a brain tumor, I wouldn't have made it off the mountain alive. So things happen for a reason.
Hi, I'm Mark Hebert, and I was hit by a distracted driver in a car accident in April of 2006, so I just had my 7th anniversary of survival.
And thrival.
And thrival, yes.
Is thrival a word?
It is now.
It is now. So I said this was going to be an interactive workshop, so we're going to start right out with the interaction. When you all think of the word resilience, what comes to mind? What does that word mean to you? Karen. Becoming human again?
Very good.
Yep, that's good. Power. Yeah, Marcia.
Being adaptable.
Being adaptable.
Strength.
Strength. Yep. Yeah, basically being able to bounce back from a crappy situation. And we all in this room know brain injury kind of qualifies as a crappy situation. So do you think resiliency, is that something that you're just born with? Or is it something that you can learn? What's the thinking out there?
I think it's in your DNA.
Think it's in your DNA? Okay. What else? Both? Yeah, Ralph.
I think sometimes things happen in our life, a crisis, we discover that we get the resilience that we know we had.
And you're all right, that to some extent, resilience is indeed in our DNA, that we all kind of have a certain place where we kind of tend to fall. But from what the research that we've read is, it also says that resilience can be learned, that you can become better at bouncing back from setbacks. I mean, if you couldn't be, we wouldn't really be doing this workshop because there'd be no point. So the article that I found that talked about resilience basically said 5 key points that are involved in becoming a more resilient person. Hillary's our flip chart turner here.
Come on now.
Yeah, so that's Vanna Zayed over there. So basically those 5 points are, number 1, to pump up your positivity. And what that means is basically find what's good in a bad situation. Live to learn. View your experience as a teacher. What do you have to learn from what's happened to you? Number 3 is open your heart. Give to others and express gratitude. Number 4 is taking care of yourself. And that includes your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And number 5, and one of my personal favorites, is hang on to humor. Is find out what is indeed funny in the situation. Because resilience really is kind of like a muscle, in that if you don't use your physical muscles, they get weak. Resilience is kind of the same idea, that the more that you practice these things, the stronger your resilience can get, and the easier you can bounce back from challenging situations, whether they be brain injury or any other kind of crappy life event that might happen to any of us. So the rest of our session is going to be interactive exercises around these 5 points. So the way I think of it is this is a workshop, but it's also kind of a workout. So Hillary is going to lead us through number 1, our pumping up our positivity. Water. And I'm going to make an attempt to write on the flip chart.
Well, as Carol said, brain injury sucks. But we kind of know that. So pumping up positivity doesn't mean ignoring all the crappy stuff that's happening with your brain injury. The challenges are very real. You do need to pay attention to them. But resiliency means being able to hold on to not only that it's crappy, but also that there's some positive things. There are some things that we can learn. There are some things that we can do. We are resilient when we can say, yes, brain injury sucks, but there are also silver linings, good things that have come out of it. So, think of 3 positive things that have come out of your brain injury. Do you have something, Mark, that you could share?
Sure. The first is, hey.
Alrighty. The first for me is going from a type A individual to a type B. I'm a lot more laid back. I'm a lot more relaxed. 2, I'm more thoughtful. I'm a better listener. I'm less judgmental. I'm more forgiving and caring. And the third is, this may shock some of you, that less multitasking is better. I'm more focused on things I need to do, and I'm more efficient that way, and it's helped me to move forward. Yeehaw.
If we don't put those water over and electrocute ourselves, it's really going to be a miracle.
It's low and Pete. It's well
Would that
said.
count as humor?
Shocking.
Good. One of the most important things that I learned is that I'm basically a whole new person, and I'm a person with endless potential. Some of us have to reinvent ourselves totally. Some of us have to deal with, I know you're talking about laying bricks, and you're going to have to do something else, but you know what? There's a zillion things. You must have had another dream that you wanted to do before you did that, and stay focused positively on things. That's so many things I wanted to do when I was a little kid, or even just years ago, and just didn't have the time, and focus on those now. One of the other things that I've met so many different people coming through groups, for our support groups, all ages, all backgrounds, just very interesting, because we all have you don't see our injuries, most of us, and we can relate to each other, and that's so important. So getting new friends and just people that know what you're talking about is really good.
How much time do we have?
Keep going.
Okay, so from all of you, one of the things that I've learned to say is, and the good news is, and so I ask you, in terms of positivity, what's the good news? Yes.
Yes, I'm here and I'm fairly independent. And I was always a volunteer and a giver before, and it's taught me to learn how to accept help and ask for help, which is very humbling, but it's also a very good lesson to be taught.
Great. Thank you for speaking up, too. I hope you could hear that. There was the volunteering, there was the independence, and, wow, here's short-term memory. And you can read the chart. How about somebody else? Karen?
I like myself better
I like myself better now, she says.
I can echo what everybody said. And the sense of humor helped me a lot. What I wanted to say when I last saw you was I'm not negative, I'm positive, and I laugh at myself and everything I do, I spill things and laugh.
So Karen has talked about the humor. She's finding humor much easier, more relevant in her life, and more positive. You mentioned being more positive.
You know, that saying,
I appreciate what I have, even while still wanting more.
I appreciate what I have while still wanting more. Yeah.
Humbling, isn't it? Which, yeah.
Yes.
Appreciate having no more seizures, where I had brain surgery because I started having these seizures out of the blue.
So it's like those steps of getting better, appreciating that you're not
Right, I
having
mean,
the
they
seizures.
left me, like I told the doctor, it seemed like they left me a lot without.
Yes.
But yet, all I can say is,
Yeah.
I'm here now because if I had any more seizures,
Right.
you know, and didn't have the surgery,
Right.
more than likely I wouldn't be.
A deeper appreciation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
We all, I know this is strokes, I can't say anything for head injuries at all. People at first, close to the time of their stroke originally, would often be down or depressed and sort of frustrated and angry and whatever. And in time, would get more positive, more useful, more in any respect, better. And it takes a year or a year and a half or 2 years or whatever to get to that. But that positiveness is always something to look forward to and gets better in time.
Looking forward to the positiveness that comes with time. Yes. Ralph?
Yes, counting the things you have, not the things you've lost.
Counting the
That's
things
really
you
important,
have.
yeah.
Yes. Counting the things you have. Deb?
I enjoyed that new and exciting experiences are new and exciting for a really long time.
In case you didn't hear that, Deb enjoys her new and exciting experiences for a longer length of time than it used to be. Yes.
there are actually some things that I do better and easier.
There are things that you can do better and easier now. Good. Okay, so we're going to wind this piece up and we're going to go ahead and move on. Boy, you came up with a lot of positives.
Yeah,
That's
very
really awesome.
If I could just mention something about how Tom had mentioned about, or I'm sorry, keeping things happen in time and you're getting better. And it's funny you mentioned about like the 2-ish year and a half, 2 years. Like most doctors will say, within 2 years. Some people think of that as if you're not 100% better in 2 years, that's it. Don't do that. It's time to the rest of your life. You just keep getting better and better, and don't think of what time they give you is set in stone, because it's really not. So don't let the positiveness of you're going to be getting better become negative.
So moving us on to point number 2, which is live to learn. In other words, viewing our experiences as a teacher. Every experience we have in life, it really does give us the opportunity to learn something. My own personal belief is that the more challenging the situation, the crappier the situation. I kind of like that word today, crappy, don't I? The worse the situation, the more opportunity there is for really very deep, long-lasting, lifelong learning. But to get to that learning, I really think that we have to change the kinds of questions that we ask ourselves. How many of you out there, after your injuries, said, why did brain injury have to happen to me? What did I do to deserve this? Is that a common question people have? That's a really common thing, especially early on. The difficult part of those questions is, how do they make you feel? Do they make you feel good? When you say, why did this happen to me? What did I do to deserve this? It kind of perpetuates the feeling negative. those questions are asking us to judge ourselves or to blame somebody for what happened. Those kinds of questions tend to keep us trapped in the past, which of course we can't change. We've got brain injuries. It has happened. All we can focus on is the present, the right now, and what do we do going forward. And that's what resilience is all about, is living in the now and looking to the future. It means changing the question of why did brain injury have to happen to me to what does brain injury have to teach me, which is a much more empowering kind of question. Bethany, I'll ask you first. So what did you learn from your brain injury?
Well, first of all, I learned it's very humbling. I learned, it took me several months before I even, quote, learned anything, just being on a lot of meds and pain. But I started learning that I really know myself and I can rely on myself just from small little things. Then that I know if I need to take time. I know if something's wrong, something really is wrong. I'm not just having this weird, bizarre feeling. Trusting yourself is one thing. Another thing is, it took a while, actually a long time, but I'm still learning to ask for help or ask for understanding. Like I might need a little more time to do this, or can you repeat this? And having to pre-apologize to friends that I might not remember what you just told me 10 minutes ago. And I keep a journal with me everywhere, because if it doesn't get written down, it's gone. And so I've learned to just stay calm and to try and not get aggravated if I have a bad day, or if I forget to make the phone call, or something like that. You just have to stay positive with yourself, because it's just a learning experience every day.
Hey.
It's the handoff. I think we all will say that life is change. But sometimes the changes can be overwhelming. They're not our fault. Accidents, strokes, we didn't ask for them. They happened to us. But with time and desire and hard work, I've seen my TBI, my traumatic brain injury, as a kind of a gift of sorts. I've often called it my mid-course correction, not my midlife crisis. And I realized that I am strong. I realized that I am resilient. I can overcome obstacles. And I can overcome obstacles because I have family, I have friends, I have therapists, I have the support group, our group Voices. It's a constant uncovering of who I am, who we are, and who we are becoming. I just need to ask for it. I think a lot of times we become into ourselves and we don't realize that there's all this help all around us, and all we have to do is say, can you help me? And people are more than willing to give us that help. So that gives me hope. It helps make me a more positive person, and that I will continue to grow. I think most of us who've had brain injury for a while realize that the neuroplasticity of the brain, we can grow. We can continue to grow. And remember, the brain is just an organ in our body. It's our mind that helps us to grow.
So now I'm going to put the same question to all of you. So what have you learned about yourself, about others, about the world from brain injury? Go over there and then there. Go ahead.
It's really hard to pinpoint. If anything, it's that I never knew and still don't really know anything, but what I write about a lot on my blog is just the perspective that my stroke has given me, and how beneficial it's been to others going through medical crises or just going through other problems, that hearing my story has, well, they say, inspired them. I don't know what that means.
So knowing that your story can help other people.
Yeah.
And that's true for every single one of us in this room.
Yeah, I mean, I find I have, people apologize to me when they are telling me about their problems, and like, they'll say, oh, I can't complain to you. And of course they can. Everybody's problems are important because they're their problems.
Yeah.
So then that's part of the perspective, I think,
Mhm.
that I've
Right.
I think one of the things I've learned the most about myself was that I had an inner strength that I never remotely knew that I had.
Yes.
Learning about others, I've always been very close to my family, but I really have learned through this process how important they are to my life and how caring and loving they are. And I think as you mentioned too, just kind of in general, realizing even though what I've experienced, I'm still very blessed to be at the point I am with my recovery, and that there are so many others who are struggling more, and so trying to appreciate how far I have come.
Yeah, so that finding that we all do. We all have strength that we didn't know. And I know that's been very true for me. I really did not know how strong a person I could actually be until this happened to me, and finding out how much our families love us and how helpful that they can be. Anything else people want to share? What brain injury has taught you? Yeah, Liz.
I have find, and this goes along with what I said previously about some things are coming easier or quicker and I do better. My lower right brain now, that part really became more dominant more quickly. And you know, we'll see over time, how the left will come back in, or how that whole thing works.
An opportunity for the non-dominant side to get to be in the driver's seat a little bit more.
Or to come back, so to speak, you know, a chance to go back there.
Great. Yeah, Deb.
I've learned just really through experience that sharing my vulnerabilities, the things I don't want to say out loud, the things that I feel bad about, or don't like about myself now, sharing those with others invites other people to share their vulnerabilities with me.
Yes.
And has really helped create, I think, safer and more intimate, closer relationships.
Yeah, so closer relationships because you are able to open up about having a vulnerability, and that makes people more likely to share their own vulnerabilities. All right, great. So we're gonna move on to open your heart. Hillary's gonna take it away for that one, and I'm going to run back to the flip chart. I'm getting the workout today.
As a species, we are meant to be connected to one another. Most of us in this room know that brain injury tends to be an isolating experience. We have to find ways to connect that work for us now. Being of service, giving, it all allows us to open our hearts and connect with others. Telling your story allows the other person to tell their story, and in telling your stories, you not only make a connection, but you help in the healing process. Gratitude for what we have and receive allows us to open our hearts and connect to ourselves. The important part of opening our hearts is to find ways that are doable given the constraints that brain injury puts on us. Acts of service don't have to be big and grand to have an impact, both on ourselves and others. Remember, I started with teaching one person how to do art, and that's just grown and grown and grown. So starting small, moving as the universe allows. So how have you been or can be of service to others? How have you been volunteering to help others, or how have you come into someone else's life to help them? Or how can you be of service? What kind of tickles your fancy in terms of thinking about helping others, doing for others, being for others?
I love raising money for charities that I'm very much into. So I had to say it because she'll say it anyways. I used to, for 10 years, I did, was a top fundraiser for my local animal shelter, and which I still love, but now this is really, really a part of me. And I actually just happened to watch a program last night on New Hampshire Chronicle about a 16-year-old boy at Pinkerton Academy who has been named one of the top 25 most influential young people in the world. And it was just very amazing. And he said, and I'm going to quote him, if you have a passion for whatever it is you're into, then you just can't fail. It could take you a while, but if you have a passion for it, just keep that passion. And it's so true. And it's with everything in the media that's going on, especially NFL and kids, and look at all the celebrities that have brain injuries that are going on. It's bringing it more to the forefront. It used to be kind of a hush-hush thing, and I think it's so important to talk and don't hide, and that's why peer groups are so important. And I've been an ear to friends of mine that have been starting to wonder about brain issues, and it's really helpful just talking to somebody. And the peer volunteer group, I just finished that course here so that I can actually volunteer here at the hospital, which is so great because everybody here has helped me, and I just want to pay it forward.
I think an important thing is just to be able to have ourselves be available to want to volunteer. Sharing our experiences is so important. Each of us has our own experience of our brain injury, or a caregiver from their point of view. Bethany talked about peer mentoring. It's really a privilege in our Voices group to be able to work with individuals here in the hospital. There's nothing like somebody coming into your room and saying, you're saying to them, I understand how you're feeling because I too have a brain injury. So you're validating those people, you're validating yourself, and it's such a loving, caring, kind thing. And you're not only there helping that person, you're helping yourself. You're elevating yourself to say, hey, I need help too. There are also teaching moments for all of us. You're in a grocery store, you're at the post office, and someone might have known that you might have been in an accident. But there are all these little places where we can talk about our brain injury because, right, we look good, we feel good. It's like Billy Crystal on Saturday Night Live. It's better to look good than to feel good, right? So that's something about brain injury that's very unique, isn't it? It's internal. You look fine, but it's something that's inside of us. Sometimes phone calls too. If you know someone's having a difficult time, you can peer mentor just by picking up the phone and calling somebody, reaching out, making yourself available to know that you're thinking about that person, that they have value. You're validating them once again. So those are some of the things that I thought about with this question.
Being a sounding stone too. You don't have to necessarily think you have to educate and be the one talking. Just listen to what they need to get through. That's what I've learned.
At the end,
We can ask them.
that's the first one. Just continue on. Okay, so how have you been, or can you be of service to others? Rep.
Yeah, when I was in the hospital for a long time, I used to wish someone would come and visit me and might be able to give me encouragement. I had my family and friends that came in, but they were so distraught how bad I was, they wanted help. The staff was great, but they couldn't stick around. So finally I got thinking, if I can find my way out of this mess, I'd do that myself. So now I volunteer at a local hospital doing that. As he said, visiting patients in the rehab. And I tell them my story, and hopefully they give them some encouragement what they're going through. And a lot of times, I'll see in their face all of a sudden, they change. And it has helped them. And that validates me that would have gone to was for a better reason.
And it's not a lot of work either.
Yeah.
You walk in, you say
Yeah.
hello, and you be there.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you, Ralph.
yeah.
Karen?
I have three things. I write lots of letters and cards, and then I call people, and I keep in touch with people.
Well, that's really important, yeah. So Karen calls people to stay in touch with people
I've always done that.
and writes cards and letters.
Which I have wanted to do, I was.
Yeah.
And then I live in a senior disabled unit, and that's my mission is to, I know myself, I don't do good in crowds, and I just help them before the stroke and after. I'm really, they're tired of my education. I'm educated.
So you've made it your mission to be the educator and helper in your community, which is a community of elderly people with disabilities?
No, or if you have a disability,
Or.
a young person,
Okay,
they all are.
okay. Or disability. Great. Marcia?
I've been extremely fortunate over the years to learn, first of all, that I don't have to know everything, that I can find people smarter than myself and write down their name and phone number. And introduce people to one another. But I've also, I think my greatest learning experience is listening to people. And it's not just folks with brain injuries or their family. And I learned how judgmental I was. Oh my gosh. Talk about slapping yourself in the face and going, oh my gosh, I don't want to be judged
Yeah.
because of whatever in your life. And so I've opened my heart a lot more to people who come from places that I find foreign or find self-destructive or whatever, horrible word I would attach to it. And to at least practice continually, letting it go and accepting them for what they're sharing at the moment now. And it's a wonderful gift and it takes effort. I hope it makes a difference.
I think the gift of listening, especially when somebody is going through something new, is like the gift, the biggest gift of all, to have somebody to be there. Even if you're listening and nobody's talking, it's still, you're there, you're standing there, you're there with them. Is there anyone else? Oh, Min, go ahead. Oh, Nancy.
Me? I am looking at ways to volunteer with patients here, but I also formed a lot of good friendships with staff at New England Rehab during my time here. So whenever I'm in the building, including today at lunch, I made a point of going upstairs so I can see if I recognize anybody around there and if they could recognize me, because that's part of what I'm sharing with them is, I think especially because sort of the acute levels of care that are provided inpatient, they don't always get to see I can't call it the end results, but here I am 2.5 years out. I'm certainly walking and talking better than I was then. When I first came in inpatient, I had a third of my skull removed after my brain surgery, and so just for them to even see that physically, and I don't have a lot of people tell me that I look good, so it's
You don't have that problem.
That's nice for me as well, but I think it is good for them to be able to see that their their hard work pays off.
Good, that's great. I bet they appreciate that. Mindy? Okay, we're up to take care of yourself.
Yes.
Take the marker with me. Okay, so point 4 in strengthening our resilience is taking care of ourselves. And that means doing things that support our health, physical, mental, as well as emotional health. And self-care is really, really important after a brain injury because our systems are already kind of compromised. We generally don't have as much reserve energy to deal with when bad things happen to us during times of stress. But we have to make a concerted effort to protect and care for our physical, mental, and emotional energies. Some of the specific self-care strategies that the research talks about that are really good after brain injury are taking breaks, are getting outdoors, spending time with people that you enjoy, and relaxing. Those are some of the things that we've already talked about as a large group. So wanted to do something a little bit different and to focus on one of those particularly good self-care strategies, and that is relaxing. So I have a guided three-minute meditation that I'd like us to try, just to relax as a group. Now, this is going to be a technological experiment for me because I have an app on my phone for this guided meditation. And if things work correctly, this speaker in front of me is supposedly wirelessly linked to my iPhone, and it should play on the speaker. If it doesn't, I'm going to stick it here. But we're going to give this a try and see how this works.
What else might come up? What else might come up?
Your guess is as good as mine.
The true Carol Star comes out.
One that reflects a sense of wakefulness. Welcome to the Mindfulness app. The Mindfulness app is a tool for increasing awareness in all aspects of life.
Can you all hear it?
It's a tool to help you with one of the most challenging components of mindfulness, namely, to remember to be
Can you all
mindful.
hear it? No.
By setting reminders at times and days of your choosing, you can receive a message right on your phone when it's time to meditate. You can choose if you want to sit for a shorter or long...
Sorry, I hit the wrong button. My bad. There we go.
Can everybody hear that?
Barely.
Really? Need to be louder?
Put the mic in.
No feedback.
No feedback.
Begin by finding a comfortable seated position, one that reflects a sense of wakefulness and presence. Noticing any sensations in the body. What is present now in the face, the neck, shoulders, in the chest and abdomen. Without trying to change anything, just noticing, observing what's here.
Yeah.
And now, getting familiar with the activity of the mind in this present moment. Where is the mind and what is it up to? Is it in the past, the future? What thoughts and feelings are passing through the mind right now? And just being open to whatever arises. Now directing your attention to the fact that you are breathing. Becoming aware of the part of the body where you experience the sensations of breath most vividly. Noticing each inhalation and each exhalation. Trying to be aware what is happening in this breath, in this moment. And this moment. And now, once again expanding your awareness to the body as a whole. Noticing all sensations that arise in the body at this moment. Experiencing the whole body sitting, breathing. Perhaps experiencing this as a sense of spaciousness and openness. And bringing this feeling with you as you go about the activities of the rest of your day.
There's been a lot of study about the value of mindfulness in terms of relaxation and increasing focus after brain injury. I just wanted to ask quickly, what was it like to do that little guided meditation? Was it relaxing? Yeah, because we're getting towards the end of a long day, so it's kind of nice just to do something that focuses a little bit. And for those of you who have smartphones, I mean, this was like I think a 99-cent app that I put on my phone, and it has different meditations of different lengths that I can do literally anytime. So moving on then to our last point, which is hanging on to humor. Like I said, my favorite one. Mark Twain said that humor is tragedy plus time. Many of you know Bev Bryant. When I first met her, it was about 12 years ago, and I listened to her laugh and make jokes about her brain injury. I thought, how in the world can she do that? Brain injury is sad. It is not funny. I did not think that I could ever look at my brain injury and its symptoms with humor. But yet, now I actually do. Many of you know that fatigue has been a big issue for me since my brain injury. I rest twice a day. There was a time when I napped 4 times a day. And one of my attempts at humor was with my doctor. And I told him that, I've had so much beauty sleep that I just know one of these days, any time now, I'm going to wake up as a supermodel.
Cool.
It has not happened yet, but I hold out hope. We also have funny ways that we talk about the support group. One of the first nicknames for the support group was where everybody forgets your name. We also say, we're all here because we're not all there. Now with the building under construction, we're thinking of naming ourselves Brains Under Construction. So there are indeed funny ways to look at brain injury. It does take time to see the humor in it. Early on, all I could see was the sadness, and it took time to get to that funny place. But then I think for most of us, we eventually get to a place where we realize, okay, we got a choice to make. We either continue to cry about this, or we can laugh about it. In the support group, there's a lot of meetings where we throw around the expression, choose to be amused. Laughing is actually so physiologically good for us. It reduces our stress, both in the body and in the mind. When we can laugh, we can heal. What I have to show you now is a short video by a group of brain injury survivors in Oregon. As I was designing this workshop, I was thinking about, all right, how are we going to do this humor part? I want something that looks at brain injury in a humorous kind of way. So I do love Google. So I just started Googling humor and brain injury to see what I could find. And I found this group in Oregon who was trying to look at brain injury as humor. And they put together a short video called Cooking with Brain Injury. We're not going to have time to show all of it. I'm probably going to show a few minutes of it. But as you watch it, and it is not rip-roaringly funny, I will warn you about that ahead of time. But it does give you a sense of, look at what other survivors, and the people in the video are survivors themselves. Look at what they're trying to do to find the humor in the situation and use it to teach others about what it's like to live with a brain injury. So we'll see if I can make this technology work. You want to help?
Sure.
Just in case I'm completely useless. failing my TV driving test.
Yeah.
That's static. You have to look something?
Nope, you're good. Is it the humor channel?
Oh,
They come back? You see now?
Well, now we're probably the only ones that can see it.
Can you see now?
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah.
Could have had a mirror. Next time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Comedy Central.
Hi everyone, welcome to Cooking with Brain Injury. Today, we'll be cooking with brain injury. I mean cooking salmon with brain injury. No, the salmon doesn't have a brain injury? Well, I don't have its head anymore. I just mean that we have a brain injury. Bill and me, we're brain injured. How about that? How about it, Bill? We're cooking salmon today, right, Bill?
Right, Cheryl, I'm having fun already.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Cooking with Brain Injury. Today, we'll be cooking fish. Ready to go? Okay, Bill, tell you what. Why don't we start by seasoning the fish on both sides?
Yeah.
Great. That was the planning phase. We mentally rehearsed the steps to seasoning the fish, and now we're ready to do it. Don't worry, a qualified speech-language pathologist can teach you that simple yet effective set of steps. And an occupational therapist can help you learn how to cook in a simulated kitchen just like this.
But this is the real kitchen, it's not simulated. I did the simulated kitchen as an outpatient, and this isn't one of those. I mean, there's no one-way mirror, or, well, and, I'm pretty sure it's not bugged.
I have to say, I hate those mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
People always think they're hiding back there, but you can hear them coughing and clearing their throat. Ooh, ugh. Well, be sure to speak to your doctor before starting any exercise program. He'll probably tell you this one's too strenuous and just go back to bed and catch up on your rest. Don't push it, people. Don't push it. Healing is your first priority, and doing your own healthy cooking is a great way to speed up the healing. Remember, take it slow and allow healing to occur at its own pace. Back to it.
Well, I'm going out for a cigarette. I'll be right back.
Yeah, so what I like to do is use salt and pepper. What's so nice about salt and pepper is that they're fresh, they're easy, and most people already have them in their house or their backyard. I know I do. God, I have so many wonderful things to eat growing in my backyard. I don't know exactly what they are or if they're edible, but I'm planting them. How I have planted so much since my brain injury. I don't even know what the hell is happening. Ugh. Quick, in summary, salt and pepper. You can always find them easily, they're always fresh, and they're always in season. That was a joke. That was hilarious. I didn't even see that one coming. Wait, what? Okay. So, when you can't find the pepper, you can just use extra salt. Because it really brings out the flavorfulness of the fish.
I am going to stop it there just because of our time. So, what'd you think of that? I heard some laughter and I thought that was good. And mainly what it is.
It's true though.
Say again?
It's true. You get so distracted. Like there's so many things in there that maybe she was exaggerating a little bit just to get it across, but there's a lot to cooking after a brain injury that you take advantage of prior to that you don't even know. There's so many steps.
Yeah.
And it's like
And what impresses me so much about this video is that these are survivors who have chosen to look at brain injury with humor. And they have shown this, I guess, at brain injury conferences across the country to use humor to help teach professionals and family members about what it is like to have a brain injury and to do some of these kind of executive function kind of tasks. So humor is such an important part of resilience. So we are reaching the end of our time, so Hillary is going to conclude us here. Yes.
Conclude us.
Was that funny?
Do it in 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Am I on the closing? I really don't know where we are.
I got it. No worries.
You're in rehab.
I'm still
improv. That was great improv.
Her name is Hillary and she has a brain injury. So one thing that I really hope that you've all gotten from this workshop is that resilience is indeed a skill, and it is something that can be learned. In your packets, which I forgot to mention earlier, there is a worksheet on resilience, and basically it's all the flip charts that we had there written out, so that if you want to spend some time on your own and answer those questions to increase your own resiliency, you can do just that. So, actually, Hillary, could you hand the handout over? It's on the TV thing. We thought people might be interested in reading the full article where we got a lot of this material from, and gonna go around and pass it out. Kelly, could you help us pass that out?
Yay.
I've been getting a free ride for too long.
So does anybody have any questions or comments about resilience while they're passing out those articles? I knew I shouldn't have done that guided meditation. You're all too relaxed now. Yeah, go ahead.
It's coming.
What is the one specific thing you're going to do to strengthen your resiliency? It's the number 4, take care of yourself. That's something I still find really hard to do, and I will, even if today I know I'm tired or really stressed, I will still, if somebody needs something, do it, knowing that for the next 2 days, I'll be totally wiped out.
Yeah, so making a focus on taking care of yourself. Hillary and I both took care of ourselves today you might have noticed that you didn't see either of us at the morning workshop because we were upstairs taking naps. Because our fatigue is such that we knew that there's no way we could get through a whole day. And that's how we took care of ourselves today. That's a good goal. Anybody else have any resiliency goals they'd like to share? Things you want to try? Yeah, Karen.
Keep your sense of humor.
Yes.
And laugh at yourself and just laugh at everything. That's what I like about it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to laugh.
Yes, trying hard to laugh at yourself.
I live alone, but you do too, and I laugh all the time,
Mhm.
all day.
Yep.
Can I just say something to that? Karen, I just happened to remember a story about my own learning to laugh. I reached a point where I decided I was going to do that, just laugh at everything, and then people started looking at me like, what's wrong with her? You know? But it's almost like a pendulum. You have to go all the way to one side to get it on that side, and then you can balance out with reality. But it takes a while to kind of figure the balance.
Mindy.
My sisters started, every time I would do something ridiculous, they would just look at me, and this was probably before I was laughing about things, but they'd look at me and they'd be like, oh, don't worry, the doctor said that would happen. And they'd laugh at me, and I'd be like, oh, okay, and then I would laugh, so it was like, you know, it took whatever was going on, you know, the weight of that off, because don't worry, the doctor said that would happen, you're fine.
Yeah, Paula.
If you are having a hard time finding something to laugh at or someone to laugh with, go into a card store that's not too noisy, you're comfortable with. Go to the funny cards and just read them. And you'll laugh out loud, and at least people will say, oh, she's in the comedy area, that's why she's laughing out loud.
Well,
Just in regards to that, if you can't leave your house, I have taped all of I Love Lucy for the times that I need to laugh.
Well, that brings our workshop on resilience to a close. I want to encourage you to fill out the evaluations, and we're going to have a short break now until 2:15. The family group is going to be coming back in. We've got a brief closing activity, and then we're going to be doing our fun raffles. Thank you.
Yay.